Welcome, everybody. Before he leaves, make some noise for our Piper, please. Yes, Piper Sanderson, Streetsville Drummond Corp. Good to have him back. And welcome, my friends, to an incredible celebration where we induct incredible legends. Yes, you can take your seats because in a few minutes I'll ask you to stand again. My name is Jake Deere. I'm so blessed to be a part of this. I think since we started, this man had this great vision. And even before I begin, I want to acknowledge Norm Loberg is in the house. Norm, you were the one that chaired this all right at the get-go, sir, so good to have you here. And friends, before we begin, I want to acknowledge that we are gathered on the treaty lands and the traditional territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit. We recognize the importance of acknowledging this land and the indigenous peoples and the elders that took care of it for thousands of years before any of us stepped foot here. We pay respect to all Anishinaabe, as well as other First Nations, Métis, and Inuit past, present, and future. And now I'm going to ask you to rise for the singing of the national anthem. And I'm sure we don't need a great voice to sing the national anthem of our beautiful country. We should sing it with passion and with great pride. But we're going to have a wonderful person lead us. Stephanie Bergenza, who's going to lead us. Please do join in. And if you're able to stand, please do. Thank you very much. Please be seated and make some noise for Stephanie Bergenza. Yes. This is such a beautiful city. Wouldn't you agree? We have some of the best folks. Yes, make some noise for this incredible, incredible city that we are blessed to call home. And we have some incredible folks that are great entrepreneurs, business leaders, community activists, community volunteers, philanthropic. They give back because they care. And they have made their mark across this country, but around the world as well. I don't want to take away Ron's thunder because I'm sure he's going to speak about Legends Row and all. But it is a blessing to live in this great city. And tonight, and today, this afternoon, we've honored a number of inductees that are so special, that are legends, really, that have put Mississauga on the map. And we're going to induct 4 very, very special legends today as well. And so we'll start. First, I'd like to invite the Deputy Mayor. He's here, and I would like to have him come up and bring greetings on behalf of the city. Would you please welcome Deputy Mayor John Kobach.
Thank you very much. Welcome to all of you. I don't recall the last time, maybe we have not ever had it here in the chamber, but it's really quite lovely. We welcome you. Our members of council do, and we do have a few who are here, and I should name them. Stephen Dasco, who represents Ward 1. Alvin Tedjo, who represents Ward 2. I see also Natalie Hart, who represents Ward 5. And we have a number of members of parliament here. Sylvia Gualtieri, Mississauga East Cooksville. Rudy Cuzzetto, Mississauga Lakeshore, and Charles Souza, a member of parliament also representing Mississauga South. I'm John Kovac. As was mentioned, I'm here on behalf of the Mayor, Carolyn Parrish, and our council. And we welcome all of you to our amazing council chambers, which I just more or less said. We celebrate 4 amazing inductees, and all of the inductees over the years, and those who've come to show their support for the new batch who are coming in. You guys are going to be the rookies momentarily, so you're going to make sure you take advice from those who've already been inducted, for they know what it means and what it takes to become inducted. Being named a member of Legends Row is such an honor. It's truly the highest honor a citizen of Mississauga can achieve. And this is the 13th year, for those who are not aware, that we have recognized our homegrown talents who have made immense contributions to the life and times and profile of our city. This year's inductees are an incredible group. We will hear much more about them, and I would like to just very quickly highlight some of the highlights of our community. Frank Giannone is being inducted for his work as a leader and a community builder. He is the president of Fram Building Group. It's now in the 5th generation of family stewardship. Mr. Giannone is instrumental in helping to transform our city's waterfront into a world-class community. Over the decades, his firm has built over 13,000 residences ranging from landmark condominiums, luxury custom homes, and exceptional single-family residences, plus rental homes and mixed-use commercial properties. Nav Bhatia's philanthropy seems limitless. His dedication to the city is well documented, and in particular, his devotion to the young people of this city, especially with his storied basketball camp. The mayor wanted me to make sure I mentioned this, the program, the park facilities in Ward 5, which he remains so proud of. The 4 immaculate courts he helped to establish in Paul Coffey Park are an example of what happens when someone cares about community. Mississauga's superfan is also the first non-player to receive an NBA championship ring and was inducted into the Basketball Hall of Fame by the NBA. He is likely still glowing, I'm going to look over, from his appearance there just last week. I think he is. He's glowing a little bit. Annie Parker is being recognized for her courageous public service when she lost both her mother and sister to cancer. She suspected a hereditary link, and then she faced cancer herself. Her lived experience is a testament to dedication and resilience. Her story was portrayed in the film Decoding Annie Parker, which underscored the importance of genetic testing. Today, the Annie Parker Foundation provides education and support for people and families affected by hereditary cancers. And Yi Jia Susanne Hou is a giant in the world of art and culture. You might not look physically like one, but she is. She truly is. We're so proud of her Mississauga roots, and we're also in awe of her international profile. For those who are not so familiar, she keeps on touring constantly. That musical voyage started not long after she unanimously won 3 international violin competitions in France, Italy, and Spain. It happened over a 2-year period while she was a sophomore and junior at the Juilliard School in New York. That's the famed Juilliard School in New York. She belongs to us here in Mississauga, but she has been in constant demand as a soloist and with major orchestras on stages in more than 50 countries. Congratulations to all of you. Mississauga has so much to be proud of. We have given rise to accomplished citizens who have pushed the boundaries of national and global success. And as our lovely MC comes back up, Jake Deere, I'll just say that it means a great deal to us to have Heritage Mississauga, to have all those who are part of Legends Row making sure we properly induct, recognize, glorify, and celebrate all of those wonderful people who call Mississauga home, who've grown up here, contribute regularly, and continue to put the city on the map. On behalf of Mayor Carolyn Parrish and our council, thank you. Thank you to all those who are here, and back over to Jake.
Thank you very much. And thank you for introducing all our elected officials. That was terrific. Just so you know, about last Saturday, Deputy Mayor John Kovac had a full head of hair. And he wanted to look like me, so no, I'm kidding. We actually participated, well, Jake Deere, I hosted it, but the Peel Regional Police, and across the country, we do the Cops for Cancer program, right? Raising millions. Peel Regional Police has raised over 1.5 million for that incredible program. And, you know, our deputy mayor was gracious enough that he said, I'm going to shave my head. And it was actually Councillor Sue McFadden that shaved your head, sucker. I mean, really good for you. It's, you know, it is a caring community. Like, you know, whether you're an elected official, whether you are legends, it is a caring community, and I just love this city. It's incredible. It is incredible, and when you have an individual who had this vision of recognizing that, you know, this is a great city that has great people who are doing incredible work, and he himself has been a staple in this community, a great successful business person, but just a wonderful community human being, just a community carer. And it was his vision to start Legends Row, and I'd like to invite him to come up and bring greetings as well. Would you please welcome the visionary and the founder of Legends Row, Mr. Ron Duquette.
Thank you, Jake. Lovely words. I really appreciate it. First of all, if this is the first time that you've been in the council chambers, raise your hand for me. That's amazing. That's precisely why we decided this year to hold this event in the council chambers, because, you know, ordinary citizens don't normally get an opportunity to be here unless you're making a deputation or something of that nature. So I truly believe, and I've done some research on this, we have one of the most beautiful council chambers of any city in Canada. We really do. Yeah. And if you visit Legends Row, you'll see plaques of all of the villages and towns that started this city many, many years ago, and a description of how that happened and who made it happen. So hopefully you'll get to see that. Jake mentioned I started this initiative way back in 2011, and I invited 15 very close friends to help me to form a team to help get this off the ground. And Norm Loberg was recognized, and I want to recognize Norm again, because without him, this never would have happened. So let's give Norm another hand. Frank Giannone and Jake were both in that group of 15 as well. So thank you, guys. We did it. So today our 4 inductees will join 62 other legends on our Walk of Fame. 4 of them, and speaking of legends, 4 of them will present the award to their new alumni members and will be introduced a little later. And I encourage those of you who haven't been to the site, I encourage you to, well, I guess it was up there earlier. If you go downstairs and take the door to the left that goes out onto Celebration Square, turn right, and that's where Celebration Square is. There it is. So take the time, go up and see who our legends are, find out a little more information about the history of our city. I think you'll enjoy it. I'd like to introduce, if I may, my team who helped make this event possible. My co-chair, Doug Hancock, is here. Doug. Jamie Gaspar. Diane Kalinchuk, everybody knows them. Judy Tuddy, and the best event host in Mississauga, Mr. Jake Deere. We have the process we go through to induct these wonderful folks is quite interesting. All of us on the management team, if you will, don't have a vote. And I believe that's the way to do it. We have a group of people we call our Community Advisory Circle, and they are made up of organizations in the city who bring invaluable knowledge to the table about our city and its residents: sports, healthcare, arts, culture, business, education, and so on. Without them, we wouldn't get to the point where we are now. So we charge them with the responsibility of looking at all of the nominations every year and making the decision as to who is going to go in. We tell them this year we want 3 members or we want 4 members, and they do the work. And we thank them because they really do a lot of work. And I'd like to introduce a couple of them. Mike Douglas is here. Raise your hand. Mike represents arts and culture. Marek Bruda is here for festivals. Marek. Jamie Gaspar, I mentioned. Jamie heads up Heritage. Stephen Dasco is sitting over there. Trevor McPherson, I think, is somewhere. I saw Trevor. And one of our newest members, our youth member, and I hope I don't butcher this name, Vasquez Nair. Vasquez, please stand up wherever you are. There he is. He represents the youth in our group. You know what? I've got nothing else to say because what's coming up is very exciting. So I really thank you all for being here today, and enjoy the show. Thank you.
Thanks very much, friend. All right, folks, time to induct our inductees, our legends. Let's start with the first one, a wonderful person, Mr. Frank Giannone. And to speak about him, I would like to invite his wonderful friend, and even my friend, Mr. Michael Speziani.
Thank you, Jake. Well, it's a distinct honor and privilege to have been asked to say a few words about Frank. And I'm going to keep it short. I know it's going to be a long period here, but so I have that distinct pleasure of welcoming Frank as our next inductee to Legends Row, Mississauga. I met Frank, it's about over 36 years ago, I think I first met Frank when I moved my office from Toronto to Mississauga. And that's another long story, but as an architect, you always want to have your work in Toronto. That's where all the cool buildings are. But I discovered Port Credit, and part of that discovery was getting to know Frank and his family. And I've seen in the years that I've been here and worked both with Frank and on boards with Frank, I've seen his firm evolve into a highly respected and trusted community partner in Mississauga, and especially in Port Credit in particular, where my office was for many years. So as an architect and an urban designer, I've witnessed Frank's focus on community consultation, this idea of prior to finalizing a design, you have to talk to the people that have to experience the design. And that is an unusual quality in the developers that I've worked with. A lot of them have great ideas. They just want to go ahead and get them approved as quickly as possible. Frank is not that type of guy. He would hold meetings that were not required, but he would go and talk to the community and see what was on their minds. He would have the check and balances of the viability of it all, but he always had in mind the quality of the community. And that to me is a real talent that very few developers have, in my experience in architecture. And as kind of further kind of evidence of his community commitment and involvement, Frank sits on 2 boards that I also sit on. So I've got to know him through our community involvement component. Excuse me, I think I'm allergic to inductions. Never done this before. And the one that I sit on currently is one of them. There's two. The first is the Port Credit Community Foundation. And if you don't know about that, you should check it out. It's based in Port Credit. It's a community foundation that started with a donation from Fram and Slocker Development, so $3 million that was invested as a part of a development commitment. And that money was invested with the purpose of enhancing lives in Port Credit. So what we've been doing on that committee for the last, I think, 15 or more years now is accepting applications for grant money for events and initiatives in Port Credit. And that includes things like the Southside Shuffle, Busker Fest, arts events, things like that. And that's been a real, we've now invested over $2 million in grants through that first $3 million that we've been working with to enhance the community. And that was, I think, a brainstorm of Frank and Fram and Slocker, the firms that worked together on the financing of that. So that's one element where I've witnessed his generosity and his commitment to community building. The other one is the Heritage Mississauga Board, and I sit on that board with Jake Deere and a number of other people here today, and Frank and myself. And that's a commitment to respect really the heritage of this community. And on that committee, Frank and I sit on the placemaking committee of that group. And placemaking is an idea that Frank and I have been really pushing hard over the years of creating memorable experiences in your city. You see some of that in front of Frank's office where there's an Indigenous installation there of public art. And that's the kind of thing that placemaking does. And Frank and I are committed to it. Frank in particular is committed to it, but he's acting on it in front of his own office. But that's a committee that shows the kind of volunteer contribution that Frank makes in this community. Now, as a personal friend as well, I've gotten to know Frank and gotten to know his family. And I was reminded that the architect that designed this, Frank's younger brother, worked for that firm. So the DNA, the Giannone DNA is all around us. He was a junior architect at that time, but he had a hand in detailing all of this beautiful building. And the other thing on that, I got to know the family even better when I won the bid for a trip to Torre Fiore, which is the Giannone family's boutique hotel in southern Italy, Pasticci. And it was one of the first times that you had offered that trip, Frank, I think, for an auction bid. And my whole family bid on that. We went after it because this is our territory, our home turf, and it was a perfect venue for us to get our family together and see our country of origin. Frank was the host of that. It was the very first one. He treated us like royalty. We got to know your father, your mother, your sisters, everybody in the family we got to know dearly there. The point there beyond that, though, Frank has now given away that trip to, I think, over 15 or more, it's got to be like 20 or more. He offers this for an auction item for many of the various Mississauga fundraising events. And this year, again, I know with Heritage Mississauga, he's donated that trip, and it's always a great fundraiser. So that's another commitment that Frank has made to this community through donation. And as a resident, I'm witnessing the blossoming of Port Credit and the city of Mississauga through the many buildings and communities that Frank has been behind. You know Brightwater, you may know the St. Lawrence Starch original buildings down in the waterfront. These are all commitments to community building, which is a very apt term for this award for Frank. He's a true community builder. So I heartily endorse the induction of Frank in this great pantheon of Mississauga's best. And with that, Frank, thank you for what you've done, and I'll pass it on. There's a short video now to take it from here. Thank you, Frank.
Frank
Frank Giannone is the president of Fram Building Group, a family company founded in 1981. A fourth-generation builder, he has spent his lifetime in the construction industry. With this experience, he remains in touch with his family's heritage as well as the importance of what he calls Old World craftsmanship. The company's head office proudly retains the original structure of the St. Lawrence Starch Company, built in the early 1900s. In the village of Port Credit, it all started with the imaginative redevelopment of the historic St. Lawrence Starch property at the corner of Hurontario and Lakeshore Road. The award-winning urban development started in 1999 and was completed in 2011. The 26-acre project, featuring luxury townhomes with underground parking and rear lane access, raised Port Credit living to new heights. A commercial component providing 18 live, work, play units rounded out the iconic project. The North Shore condo followed, a 22-story complex plus a 6-story senior living building on the north side of Lakeshore. Then came the NOLA condo, the company's boutique mid-rise building rising 15 stories with only 70 suites, ideally located just steps from a wide variety of lifestyle amenities and the Port Credit Go Transit Hub. The next phase of Fram and Slocker's multi-award-winning Port Credit Village community is meticulously designed, 55 Port Street, a luxury mid-rise condominium on the shores of Port Credit, offering peaceful views of Lake Ontario and beyond. Bricks and mortar may be in his blood, but it's not the only dimension to this influence in our city. His firm is part of Port Credit West Village Partners, a group of development and design firms currently building Brightwater in Port Credit. The Brightwater community, when completed at Mississauga and Lakeshore Roads, is expected to contribute significantly to the transformation of Mississauga's waterfront. Fram are also involved in residential and mixed-use building projects in Toronto and Calgary in Canada, and Texas and Michigan in the U.S. Fram is recognized as a developer of urban villages, emphasizing pedestrian-friendly, walkable communities. The shipyards in Collingwood, the redevelopment of the Don Mills Centre in Toronto, East Village in Calgary, and North Shore in Irving, Texas, are examples of their work in this area. Family holdings include Verve Retirement Living, which houses over 5,000 seniors in Ontario, Saskatchewan, Alberta, and British Columbia, where Frank has served as a founding director since 2004. Frank is active in his community. He is a founding director of the Port Credit Community Foundation. The PCCF is a significant funding partner of many events, festivals, and other community initiatives. They are committed to the community, its encouragement of volunteer participation, and the fostering interest and enjoyment of live music in Mississauga. His developments in Port Credit have now taken us to a higher level in the city. He's a serious stakeholder, not a developer who blows in, raises a condo, and disappears. He's our neighbor. You're going to see him at the restaurant, the bakery, the farmer's market, and the hockey rink. Frank and his family live, work, and play in Mississauga. Dozens of organizations throughout the city have benefited from the generous donation of holiday accommodations at the Giannone family's trend-setting luxury hotel, Torre Fiore, nestled in the Basilicata region of southern Italy, raising hundreds of thousands of dollars for important fundraising causes in Mississauga. Frank acts in an advisory capacity in selecting user groups activating Mississauga's Celebration Square, and is a member of the board of Heritage Mississauga. Mr. Giannone is a former president of the Toronto Home Builders Association and the Ontario Home Builders Association, which presented him with the 2019 OHBA Lifetime Achievement Award. He was named one of Mississauga's most influential people by the Mississauga News in 2013. Legends Row are proud to add Frank Giannone to the illustrious alumni who have helped build our great city.
if I can please invite the 2022 alumni, Jack Brazerish. Jack received in 2022 to present it to our inductee this year, Mr. Frank Giannone.
I know this is going to go longer than I wanted it to. First of all, Michael, thank you very much. I'll do my best not to get a big head. It's such an honor to be up here, to be recognized with my fellow inductees. And congratulations to the three of you. I had the opportunity to watch from outside, mostly outside, as Legends Row went from being a concept, worked through the challenging logistics of finding a home to becoming a reality. Though the founders were a small group of people that took on this challenge, it was a group that was immensely proud of our city, proud of its past, and that translated importantly to our future. Not to diminish the work of the past and current board members, but I always looked at Jake Deere, Doug Fowles, Norm Loberg, and of course Ron Duquette as the ringleaders. Thank you to you, the board, and to the selection committee for inviting me to join this August list of deserving Mississaugans. So I want to start by addressing this list where there are some inductees that impacted me directly, people that are already in the walk of. Firstly, my contemporaries in the development industry, Iggy Caniff, Harold Shipp, and Peter Gilgan. All three were easy to look up to, committed to giving back while they helped our city grow. Iggy was such a polished and smooth operator. He helped create our downtown by bringing people into the downtown. Harold was a leader in industry advocacy, always providing me with advice in my industry work, but making sure that all the people knew that he was younger than me by 1 year of becoming president of the Toronto Home Builders Association. Didn't want anybody to forget that. Peter Gilgan, no one in our industry gives back more than he does. And his firm, Mattamy, is just simply the biggest and the best in North America. I watched Jim Tovey's evolution from his first term, where he worked so hard to consolidate and perfect his political chops, to his second term, where it was hard for me as a developer to keep up with his city building ambitions. Jason Spezza. I had the good fortune to coach Jason's younger brother, Matthew, a few years, alongside his father, Reno. Whenever he was available, Jason would join our practices as he could show the right way to do the drills and how to translate those drills into game situations. It was hard to swallow to recognize that this kid knew about the game more than I did. Jason was always a grounded, solid young man, reflecting his family, his city, and his country. Jack, real pleasure that you were able to present me with the award. You know, it's easy for me to admit that you're a magnet to follow in your selfless giving of yourself to such valuable endeavors. I'm looking forward to our travels together because I get to be his guide next week in Italy. Patty Janetta, who does so much for our city, and making sure to remind me always of our shared Italian blood. And of course, Hazel McCallion, who influenced my awareness of how our industry could work together with a city to build on shared goals. Now, there are many thanks to go around, and I'll get to why at the end, but so first of all, thank you to my family, my wife Marina, my children, Christina, John, David, and Robert. I wasn't raised in Mississauga, but it's been my home for 40 years. Almost all my children were born here because I was supposed to have the house finished by the time Christina was born in '85, but unfortunately the builder, me, was a few months late in completing it. As we grew our business, there were some nights apart, but my priority was always to get home pronto, to be part of their lives. Our family has grown with spouses and grandchildren to total 16 at our table, and we have a 7th grandchild on the way. Thank you to the gang for celebrating with me today. That you are my inspiration. With my parents, John and Josephine, and my siblings, Tony, Marianne, and Ralph, we weren't just a tight-knit families. We're partners in everything we do. We've been partners for a long time, since before we even started all working together, with so many loud, Italian, relevant conversations around that dinner table. And Kent, you know that that loud dinner table continues to this day with our table. I want to thank Oscar Monix and Ace Locker, my Dutch partners, without whom we couldn't do the big works we do, and who are completely bought into our community building philosophy here in Mississauga. Thank you also to the whole team at Framps Locker for their good work that reflects on us so well. Once conceptualized with my brother Ralph, it's my brother-in-law Fred Serafaro who delivers the goods. A special thanks to what Mike referred to as the members of the Port Credit Community Foundation. They really guided us into the concept and have, without compensation, shepherded this organization to its yearly support of tried and true community building. And they've encouraged growth opportunities to benefit the people of Port Credit. Thank you to Karen Priest, Don McVie, Michael Speziani, John David, Bruce Kerr, and John Pappas. Now, some of you probably have heard me say that the giving of money to support the various endeavors is the easy part. In Mississauga, Port Credit's volunteerism is the real legend. I'm always in awe of the selfless giving of time, the organizational skill sets, and the ingenuity that drives the good works that are done. It drives Port Credit's vitality. Thank you to Councillor Stephen Dasco for your indefatigable work. Your guidance and direction is valuable for what we do and for the people of your ward. And you make sure you always keep me grounded. Thank you to our political leaders, to Mayor Parrish and her supporting crew for believing in us to do the right thing. People know us for our ownership product, but under the guidance of the city, we are proud to have delivered in Mississauga 3 affordable housing projects and 3 seniors residences over the years. To the people of Port Credit, they deserve many of my thanks for tolerating the changes that we've brought upon them, though not all of them, of course, tolerate us. And I do get it. Change is tough for some people to swallow, but this place has been constantly evolving for hundreds of years. It's hard, but I've heard some people say that it's better the devil you know. My wife sort of hinted that way when I proudly announced that we had purchased the St. Lawrence Starch lands. Her response, "Why did you do that? You're developing in our own backyard. You better do a good job because I'm not moving away from here, though you might be." So there was no pressure there, honey. I share this honor with all of you. It would be impossible to do it without you. The first time I visited Port Credit was when I was 8 years old. My father and I left our home in Etobicoke for a tournament in Port Credit. It was such a long drive that I was convinced we were doing an overnighter. Since moving here, I've seen Mississauga become a magnet to a diverse, vibrant community. Port Credit is our trademark, but I'm also proud of playing a part in the creation of and in the programming of Celebration Square. I say to people that you can watch the world go by all summer long by participating in the culture that the square brings us every weekend. The same holds true in how Port Credit waterfront pulls people from all around the city down to its edges. I am lucky to live here. There's no place in the world I would rather be. Thank you all.
I asked him, should I leave? He goes, give it to me. Thank you very much, Frank. So well deserved, sir. And you know, the Torre Fiore, everybody, Jack Brazercia is leaving. Everybody say bye to Jack. He's packing his suitcases for Italy, that's why. Jack's a wonderful guy. You know, I've been honored to do the auction, the live auction for the Torre Fiore, and it easily brings in thousands of dollars every time. And it's such a great place, such a wonderful place. My family and I were blessed to be a part of that as well. So it was great, Frank. Thank you. Thank you for all you do. I do want to acknowledge, you don't have to applaud because you didn't come with me to Italy unless you want to go, but I want to acknowledge that we have two former inductees in the house. Gil Moore, where's Gil? Oh, there he is. Metalworks, you know, another great Mississaugan. Love you, Gil. Hi, Sonny. And then we also have former inductee Susan Harris is in the house. Susan? There's Susan right there, right behind you. Okay. All right, friends, now it's time for our next legend. And we're so honored that this individual, the introducer, flew in all the way from Los Angeles for this very special presentation. He is the executive producer of the award-winning film Decoding Annie Parker. Would you please welcome Mr. Jonathan Brownlee.
Thanks so much. Just a couple of comments that are not really in my speech yet, but I didn't know I was going to get a boutonniere. This is fabulous. All right, I feel like I'm at my prom again. And I keep looking at the camera guy over here on the easy rig. I'm like, dude, you need to get in a little closer, get some more faces and stuff. There we go. That's better. Well done. Can't help it. First of all, to Ron and his team at Legends Row, thanks so much for having me here today. It's great to be home. I don't get to sing the Canadian national anthem very much, except when I go to hockey games and the Canadian teams come in. So it was a pleasure to be able to sing the anthem today. So thank you so much for that. It is fabulous to be back home again, the Great White North. And it's actually quite wonderful to be allowed back into Mississauga, where I have to admit, during the 80s, I may have gotten into some trouble. You know, we'd bomb up and down on Burnham Thorpe, you know, and so I really appreciate that the police let me back in. You know, I wasn't arrested at the airport, which was great. You know, we did get into some trouble, but I was always able to sneak back over the border into Etobicoke, where I grew up. So it's all good. But it really is wonderful to spend a couple of days here exploring the Mississauga of 2025 and looking at some of the amazing work that you have done. I'm like, I might have to move to Port Credit. Like, this looks really amazing. So again, thanks for having me, and again, apologies to the Mississauga of the 1980s. Sorry about that. Right around 2007 or 2008, while I was living and working between Los Angeles and Vancouver, some very, very good friends of mine, Dr. Don Ricks and Laurie McRae and Neil McRae, they came to me, their film guy, you know, and they said, hey, I was probably their only film guy they knew at the time, so, you know, it's kind of by default. A friend of mine has written a script. Would you read it? One of the doctors that worked for them. I said, yeah, sure, I would be happy to do that. And so the reason they had a doctor working for them is they own laboratories and medical testing. And so I said, of course, I'd be happy to read it. And I would have done anything for them. They're just fabulous, fabulous people. And I usually expect when people give me scripts from their friends, they're not going to be really all that good, right? But I'm happy to do it. I'm happy to read it. And I realized that I could gently, in a very Canadian way, say, I don't think this is going to go very far, right? But I was happy to read it. Well, you know, to my amazement and glee, if you will, the story was really good. I liked the story, and I said I'd be happy to help. So fast forward a few years later, the Ricks-McRae family have agreed to partially fund this film, and over the course of several years, we were able to cobble together the rest of the, approximately $2 million, which is not a lot, to make this film that would ultimately become Decoding Annie Parker. Now, what was even more impressive to me than just cobbling together the money, was that there were actors and crew that lined up to come on board to this project of our little film. And it really spoke volumes about what they thought about the story, but also, in turn, and by extension, what they thought about Ann Parker. Oscar and Golden Globe Emmy winner Helen Hunt, Oscar Emmy nominee Samantha Morton, Rashida Jones, Tony and Globe winner Corey Stoll, Maggie Grace from Lost, Ben McKenzie from Gotham, Bradley Whitford and Richard Schiff, both Emmy winners from The West Wing, Alice Eve, Bob Gunton, and so many others. But why did they sign up for this film? It certainly wasn't the paycheck, I can tell you that for sure. And in my humble opinion, it was Annie Parker. Yes, there was a great parallel science story with Dr. Mary Claire King and the discovery of the BRCA gene, but it was really Anne's personal struggle, her determination that they connected with. The regular person with very little education who knew that there was something stalking her family, killing her family. And it was more than just bad luck, as many of the doctors said back then. And all of these actors had their own stories to tell, their own cancer stories, cancer in their lives, the lives around them, and that's why they connected with Anne's story. I've met very few people in either my personal or professional world who have had a more profound effect on my life than Ann Parker. I've met very few people with more courage, more strength, more very stubborn determination than Ann Parker. And as Helen Hunt says in the film, and why we are all here today, you are a remarkable woman, Ann Parker. Thank you. And now if you'll pay attention to the screens.
After losing both her mother and sister to cancer, Mississauga's Annie Parker innately believed that there was a hereditary link in certain cancers and that one day she would get cancer as well. And she was right. In 1994, Annie Parker became one of the first women in Canada to be tested for the BRCA1 gene mutation. Her results were positive for the deadly gene. Annie's story and that of Dr. Mary Claire King, who discovered the gene, inspired Hollywood filmmaker Steve Bernstein to write and direct the feature film Decoding Annie Parker, a multi-award-winning film starring Samantha Morton, Helen Hunt, and Aaron Paul.
So I have to ask, Dr. King, what's the story with the clock there?
The clock is marked at every 12 minutes. That's how often a woman will die of breast cancer in this country.
King, you believe that there may be a genetic link to some breast cancers?
I do.
Even though virtually no one else believes this to be true?
That's correct.
That's my big sister Joan and I, and we didn't know what trouble we were in.
I found a lump in my breast. I'm really scared that it's in our family. That's not true. First your mother, now poor Joan.
I know your family history. That doesn't mean that you're going to get cancer.
Your biopsy shows that you have carcinoma of the left breast.
Phew. I thought it was going to be really bad news.
We have a proposition that certain breast cancers are inherited. No one else believes this. We do. To prove it, we have to do 4 things. Sarah?
Find a group of women who have relatives who have breast cancer.
Second?
We need to track the inheritance of our breast cancer gene from generation to generation.
I just knew this was going to happen. It happened to my mom, happened to my sister, it happened to my grandma.
Many women feel that way. Your family did have a bit of bad luck, but there are many complex factors.
Bad luck.
Third, isolate and sequence it to find the mutation. Then we find out if it repeats in the relatives. And if it does, then that is our link.
We can't know anything. There's so many possible factors. You have a long, hard fight ahead of you.
We then need to figure out why a mutation in a single gene could lead to breast cancer in so many women.
Why can't you just leave it alone?
I've got to do something.
My name's Annie Parker.
There's a genetic link between mothers and daughters, sisters.
You are a remarkable woman, Ann Parker.
Cancer patients are a pain in the ass.
It may not seem like faith, but it is. And maybe those who say faith sustains us are right. And maybe it doesn't matter what we have faith in, as long as it's faith in something.
With the success of the film, Annie began spreading her story to audiences across North America as a keynote speaker at various conferences, communities, and media outlets.
My name is Annie Parker, and I'm very pleased to be here working with the Arizona Oncology Foundation. I am a patient advocate. I am a 3-time cancer survivor, and I just want you to know that you can beat cancer. I just wanted people to know that I'm not extraordinary, that if they fight the fight, that cancer can be beaten.
She has gained respect from the medical community, sufferers and survivors with her brave story, sincere nature, and powerful message of hope. In her book, Annie Parker Decoded, she tells her story using facts, hard truths, and humor. It has served as a coping mechanism for many cancer sufferers and continues to inspire hope among women worldwide. Her foundation, the Annie Parker Foundation, was created to inspire and empower cancer survivors and their families through specially curated programming and events. It is her hope that a future of generations who have the capacity to make fully informed decisions about their personal health will be supported through their journey. Today, she is cancer-free. Welcome to Legends Row, Annie Parker.
I've known Annie for a very long time. I'd like to invite Fran Ryder. Fran Ryder is a member of the Order of Canada. She's also was inducted into the International Ice Hockey Hall of Fame, and to present the award to our legend, Annie Parker.
Binder. Jonathan, thank you so much for being here today, all the way from Texas. Very emotional story, no matter how often I see it. Jonathan also had a film at TIFF this year. And I have to say, if there is ever a sequel to Decoding Annie Parker, you can do the wrap party, because he gave us an amazing wrap party in LA. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests and fellow inductees, standing here today, as you can tell, I'm overwhelmed with gratitude. Me, a legend, I never saw this coming. Being introduced into Mississauga's Legends Row is an honor, a recognition that I will always cherish. A heartfelt thank you to Ron Ducat and the entire selection committee. This isn't just a title or a plaque. It's a wonderful reminder that the stories we carry and the work we do can leave lasting ripples, reaching far beyond what we ever see. To my fellow inductees, Frank, Suzanne, and Nav, Congratulations. You have each shaped Mississauga in your own unique and extraordinary way, and I am humbled to be standing here with you today. Mississauga has been more than a city to me, it's been a home. For over 25 years, I've worked alongside incredible people at the Living Arts Centre and later with the city of Mississauga, watching this community grow into a vibrant, diverse place it is today. And while I've done my best to contribute, it is this city that has truly shaped me. But my journey hasn't only been professional, it has been deeply personal. I lost my mom, my sister, and a cousin to cancer, all far too young. After my own diagnosis of breast, ovarian cancer in my 20s and 30s, I felt there had to be something more than a coincidence. Eventually, science caught up. I was the first woman in Canada to be tested for the BRCA1 gene mutation, thanks to the pioneering work of Dr. Mary Claire King. BR stands for breast, CA for cancer. Learning I carried this gene changed my life. It brought fear, yes, but also purpose. I knew I had to speak up, not just for myself, but for women like me who felt powerless. That mission became Decoding Annie Parker, the film, and Annie Parker Decoded, my memoirs. Sharing my story gave me a voice and gave so many others hope. When the actress Angelina Jolie later shared her own BRCA journey, the world began to listen. The quiet conversations we had been having behind closed doors went international. And I was grateful to have played a small part in opening that door. Now, genetic testing isn't for everyone, but it offers something we all deserve: choices. And with choice comes the power to act, to prepare, and to live. It allows for preventative strategies, it enables heightened surveillance, and it opens the door to targeted treatments. I owe my life to the compassionate doctors who treated me through 3 cancer diagnoses. Their skill and care gave me the gift of time and the chance to stand before you all today. Being welcomed into Legends Row is not just about my story, it's about all of us here. It's about family, resilience, and the belief that even in our darkest moments, we can choose courage. To my husband, Michael, I appreciate your love through our good times and our many challenges. To my family, friends, mentors, thank you all for your support. And to those, this is a very unusual day today too, to those family and friends who I know are here in spirit, your memories have propelled me to move forward. You are walking this journey with me. This honor will forever hold a special place in my heart, because in the face of fear, we can still find hope. And through our struggles, we can light the way for many others to come. Thank you. I promised myself I wouldn't do that.
All right, how do I move on from that? Our next inductee is someone also very, very special, doing incredible work in the space of sports and philanthropically. To introduce him, he's, when I drive down going south on Mavis Road, I see this huge picture of him. We've sold 5 billion houses or whatever that is. There's a house on our street that's on sale. It says Sam McDaddy, and then the next day there's a sold sign. Like, And you know, that's the incredible business that he does, but he's also philanthropic, because I've seen the support that he gives Trillium Health Partners Foundation and so many other organizations, and that's what I love about Sam McDaddy. And I'd like to invite him to introduce our wonderful inductee, Mr. Nav Bhatia. Please welcome Mr. Sam McDaddy.
Thank you, kind words, very appreciated. It's a real honor to be here to introduce my great friend Nav Bhatia and share a few stories about Nav. I've known him for approximately 30 years or so now, but the last 5 or 7 years we've become very close friends. He's given me the courtesy of being a courtside friend with him, and we've developed a great friendship. But along that journey, I've seen so many great things that Nav has done. He doesn't talk too much about his, the things he does and gives back to the community. He doesn't want to talk, but I see it because we're very close. And I have so much respect for what he's done to the community, given to the community, and wants to continue to provide support. And it's incredible. So Nav came here in the 80s, mid-80s, came here, didn't, I believe, have too much money, had a basement apartment he rented in Malton, and so Malton was very dear to him. So with Rinku, et cetera, they built 4 beautiful courts, which you guys had alluded to, which is just really incredible, because he really, through his foundation, wants to give back to the community, and really, most important, to the kids as well. That means so much to Nav. I see it day in, day out with him. When I'm with him at courtside, I see how much it matters for him to have people take pictures of them, share the rings with them, and you can see the joy with their faces, and Nav loves to do it. It's really a labor of love for him. He loves to see people smile, and I can tell I'll share a few stories. I remember once, a few years back, where Nav was notified somebody had terminal cancer. He was a young boy, and his idol was Steph Curry. And so Nav knows Steph and the family very well, so he reached out to Steph and he said, "Steph, listen, this gentleman's coming in town." Steph was playing a game. He told me about this person's experience. He got there 30 minutes early, took pictures, signed a jersey for him, did everything for him. I could see, watching Nav, the glow he had in his face, just to see the happiness provided this child, who really probably the joy of his year for him. So just really, really incredible to see what Nav does behind the scenes, and I'm very happy and honored to be able to call him a friend. I'll share a funny few stories about Nav. He's very humble, but honestly, when you go to the Raptors games, he's better known than all the Raptors. Every player comes up to him. It's like, when I first was there, I was kind of marveling, like, how does everybody know him? LeBron James comes up to him, every single athlete, and he's so humble with all these players. But I had one story where DeMar got traded, and we were having dinner with Noah, which is DeMar's agent, and he shared this funny story. He said, listen, DeMar's car was broken. He asked to borrow Nav's car. Nav gave it to him. He had this vanity plate, Superfan. So he's driving in Toronto with Noah, and this one little kid's running fast. He rolls down the window, and it's DeMar rolling down the window. Goes, "Oh my God, I thought you're the Superfan," and he walks away, which is pretty crazy, right? So, and Nav, think about it, for 30 years, he's never missed a game. Actually, I kind of joked with him, and Rinku was saying, listen, Nav, your streak was finally over during COVID, because unfortunately he was in an event where Messiah contracted COVID, and just as a safety protocol, they said nobody should be going. Nav shouldn't go to the game, so he sat out. And then a year later, I reminded him, Nav, it's really unfortunate the streak was broken. He goes, no, Sam, the NBA doesn't recognize it as a broken streak, because really it was a COVID provision, so the streak remains alive. So guys, 30 years, never missed a game. Like, that's honestly an incredible feat for Nav, and it's really, really incredible. And he's never been late, which has really never been, it's just incredible. So once, actually, Nav told me he was running maybe potentially a little late, and he was going a little bit fast. He was a little worried because he just didn't want to be late, and a lot of times the fans want to greet him, take pictures with him. So it's really important for Nav to do that. So he's kind of speeding, which he usually doesn't do. He gets pulled over. The person recognizes him and goes, oh, you're the super fan. He goes, yeah, I was almost going to be late. I'm really sorry. He goes, let me make way for you. So he clears the path and gets to there on time, right? So it's pretty incredible, the things, that Nav, we've experienced together. And sometimes I think his brand is just local, but honestly, we'll go to, I think we're in Edmonton, there's lineups a mile long. I'm thinking, well, that's pretty incredible. We'll go to the U.S., there's mile-ups, and he's so humble with everybody. It's just a real treat to be around Nav and be able to call him a friend. And, think of it, he's got a ring, 2019 championship, was able to get a championship ring and inducted into the Hall of Fame. I mean, those are incredible feats because of who the person he is. And it's just really, really incredible to watch him and, all the things he's done for our city. And honestly, he's an incredible businessman, a philanthropist, a great husband, a great father, and most importantly, a great friend to so many of us. We love him so much, and nobody more deserving than my good friend Nav.
Nav Bhatia is a Canadian community leader, well known for his many business and charitable achievements. He is a philanthropist who started his own foundation, the Superfan Nav Bhatia Superfan Foundation, to unite the world through his love of basketball by the creation of initiatives and opportunities for youth. He also stands as a positive role model for newcomers and immigrants.
Growing up, we didn't have anybody to look at.
I wanted my community, the youth, to connect with the mainstream through the game of basketball.
Nav became the person that we could identify with.
He's been just as important as any player the Toronto Raptors has ever had.
Is a super diehard, loyal fan.
One and only super fan, Nav Bhatia.
Nav Bhatia.
Nav Bhatia, the super fan.
Yeah!
He's always at the games, never missed one home game.
If there is breath in his body, he's gonna be there for the Toronto Raptors.
You keep kind of scratching your head wondering,
who is that guy?
Who is this guy? Who is that guy?
I was like, does he work here?
Hey,
Standing up and yelling, and I'm like, already you're an immigrant, you look different, and now you're doing all of this.
Trained as an engineer, Nav Bhatia was unable to secure a job in his specialty when he first arrived in Canada, so he took a job as a car salesman. He sold 127 cars in 3 months, which to date remains a Hyundai sales record. He became manager of the dealership and today owns 3 Hyundai dealerships and 2 Genesis dealerships. Through the Superfan Nav Bhatia Foundation, Nav continues to build new and upgrade existing basketball courts for communities in Mississauga and across Canada. The foundation is a way to unite people of all backgrounds through the love of basketball.
Today was all about the community and helping develop young kids' basketball skills, as it was the first ever Superfan Fantasy Basketball Camp. Around 100 kids were on the court for the first day of camp, and it all started out with them getting their own lockers, uniforms, and special player introductions.
Make some noise for Wes!
We are going to bring 400 kids, 100 kids every day, and they're going to be like treated in a very different way. They're going to feel like that they were drafted in the NBA or WNBA today.
Then they were on the court and were able to polish off their skills and learn some new ones from special guests, including WNBA champion Tammy Sutton-Brown.
He is a strong voice speaking out against discrimination and racism, something that he's faced his whole life.
I buy 5,000 tickets and I distribute to all the underprivileged kids in Toronto and surrounding area. And we bring people from all religion, races, Sikhs, Hindus, Muslims, Christians, single mother kids, Jain and Finch, everywhere. Everywhere we bring the kids. Because I want these kids to integrate with them, each other, during the young age. So that they don't have to go through what I went through 30 years ago. And it's working.
He has partnered with World Vision's Rise Up Daughters of India with an initiative to build washrooms for female students in India's schools, which helps increase their safety and privacy, allowing them to stay in school. To date, over 100 school washrooms have been built in some of the poorest villages of India. An avid Toronto Raptors fan, Bhatia is the first non-player to receive an NBA championship ring and be honored by the NBA into the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame. And his home city is proud to induct superfan Nav Bhatia into Legends Row, Mississauga's Walk of Fame.
And to present the award, I would like to invite another incredible, he's the CFL, legendary CFL quarterback, Mr. Chuck Ailey, to present the award. To our legend, Mr. Nav Bhatia. And just very quickly, next time I'm late for a meeting, I'm going to drive with Nav.
Thank you. Sam, you shouldn't have mentioned we have a superintendent of appeal police sitting here. Now they're going to watch me every time I'm driving, you know. Even though I'm the honorary chief, you know, can't do that. So, you know, I think I remembered my speech, but after hearing Frank's and Anne's, I think I'm all a little messed up and emotional about it. What an amazing, congratulations to all my other fellow inductees, please. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I don't know if after hearing Anne's your story, Frank's I don't know how I deserve to be standing here. I don't. But God has blessed me, and I'm going to take at it. I want to thank you all for being here today. I'm really blessed and honored to be here. You know, to be inducted in Mississauga Legends Row I'm really blessed. I'm really blessed. Mississauga is my home. Mississauga is my home, yes. But somebody was talking to me outside and said, Nav, you know, of all the cities, you were coming from India during that tough time, and you picked up Mississauga. Guys, I wish I can take the credit. I'm not going to. I'm going to tell you the truth. I had $30 in my pocket when I landed at Pearson, and the cab driver dumped me at Malton when my fare was over to $25. And that's how I ended up in Malton. So thank you. But you know what? God is always looking after me. And, you know, sometimes I always say it's better to have God on your side than being smart, you know. And so I'm not smart, but God is always looking after me. And thank you. Again, that's how I ended up in Malton in 1984 in the basement on Victory Crescent, and I'm proud of it. Look at sometime, right now I'm shaking a little bit, I'm having goosebumps. How the journey takes. I land up in Malton from a very tough situation in India, which was a genocide for the Sikhs. I come here, I'm a mechanical engineer. I couldn't find a job. I must have gone to over 300 places, and I couldn't find a job. So I became a janitor. But let me tell you guys, I was the best janitor in the city. I did it with passion. I'm always proud of whatever I do, and I do it with passion. From janitor, a car salesman. Again, what a tough stop for me. I started at Rexdale Hyundai. I got a call one day on a Saturday. They said, if you want the job, come here right now. It's 8 o'clock. You have to be here by 9 o'clock if you want to get the job as a car salesman. Guys, I want to share with you, that was the fastest turban time I did in my life. And I was there before 9 o'clock. But once again, that was my lowest and the toughest day. Because when I arrived there, it was a different time at that time in '84. When I arrived there, I had 9 Caucasian salespeople. As I entered, they made fun of me. They called me various names. They called me towel head, diaper head. Even they called me Packy. Now, I couldn't understand why they're calling me Packy, because I'm not from Pakistan. I'm from India. But later I found what that meant, and it was not good. But let me tell you, that being the lowest day in my life was also, that's the day, my strongest day, because I prayed, and I told myself, Nav, you got to be better than good if you want to last in this environment. And as you just heard, in the first 3 months, I sold 127 cars. There was a record then, and still is a record today. You know, and today here, I'm pinching myself. I'm with the other inductees, you know, the past and right now. I can't believe it. But you know, it's not an individual who wins the championship. It takes a team to win the championship. If that was not the case, then LeBron James would have won the championship in Cleveland because he's an amazing player himself. He had to go to Miami to build a team to win the championship. And this is the same case in my case. I think I don't deserve what I have, but God has given me, and like I said, I take it humbly. But it is the team which works with me. And that includes my manager, Rinku Ghai, right there. Rinku, stand up a little bit, please. Let's get one. My wife, my daughter, and also all those friends who are sitting. Guys, could you please, with Dr. Gupta Sahib, could you please stand up? And Kavish, please stand up. This is my team. Kavish is a senior executive with Hyundai and has been supporting. So without him, I can't be standing here. So I thank all of you guys to be putting me in this situation. And this is not for me. This is for you and actually all of you guys who have taken care. I've been in Mississauga. I have few businesses in Mississauga. And you should be all proud. The top dealership in Hyundai is in Mississauga Hyundai. The top dealer in Genesis is in Mississauga, Genesis, Mississauga. So give yourself a big hand for that. I also want to thank one more person, very important. You saw those basketball courts, the 4 courts. They are outside courts, but they are considered to be the best courts in the country. You know, kids come from all over to play in those courts. People from Pickering, Scarborough, Hamilton, people come to play because those are the best courts in the country. And there is one person responsible big on those. And her name is our Honorable Mayor Carolyn Parrish. She was a counselor in Malton at the time. These courts are in Malton on Goreway and Derry. If you ever have a moment, please go there and look at them and be proud because these are your courts. They are there because of you guys. And Carolyn Parrish was a counselor at the time, 4 years ago. But let me tell you, she never took no at that time either. So she got it done. With all the speed bumps we had, we got it done and give the mayor a big hand on the face. Mississauga has given me almost everything. You know, a lot of time, I remember one time, John Tory, our mayor of Toronto, was there, and he says, Nav, I want you to move to Toronto so that I can tell the people that Nav is from Toronto. I said, no, I can't do. I'm a loyal guy. Sikhs are loyal people. I'm going to continue. I've been here for 40 years, and I'm going to last in Mississauga. But let me tell you something. With all the opportunities you have given me to give it back, I want to just let you know, this is just a beginning for me. Thank you very much. Keep me in your prayers, please. Thank you.
Just a couple of, I love the running shoes, just a couple of stories, personal stories. Arjun, my son, was doing something for DECA, and he had to interview some entrepreneurs, and he said, Dad, I'd love to interview Mr. Nav Bhatia. And so I called Rinku, and then we connected with Nav. Nav was so busy, but he made it a point to make sure he spent some time with this young boy, and that really meant a lot to him. And, I've always been a fan, I've always believed in supporting those that support our community. My daughter Sonia has bought 3 Hyundais from Mississauga Hyundai. And there was one Hyundai where Nav was not in town. And he had always said to me, listen, whenever Sonia wants a car, you let me know. And he was in India at the time. And, because of the 12-hour time difference or whatever it was, I spoke with Nav. 3 o'clock in the morning, India time, he called his staff here and said, make sure you take care of Sonia. This is the kind of human he is, folks. This is the kind of human he is. And in fact, all of them. Like, I could go on about Frank and the others, but it's a blessing to have all of you as our legends here. And Annie I've known for such a long time as well. Nav, you don't know this, but there was a wonderful, outstanding player who wanted to be here, but he could not, but he still wanted to join the party. So take a look at the screen. You have no idea.
Nav, what's up, man? It's your boy JYD. I hear you're being honored as one of the legends of Mississauga Row, and I just want to say, it's about time. There's nobody more deserving of this accolade than you for all you've brought to not only the city of Toronto, but to inspire a whole generation of young people with your fan engagement and what you do in the community. This is a well-deserved honor, and I just wanted to personally say congratulations. Dog pounds behind you. Dog pound, Nav. You know how we do.
So, okay, our final inductee is, I'd like to invite a celebrated British producer, director, screenwriter, and novelist, Mr. Don Boyd. He has directed over 29 feature films and produced another 27, none of which I've been involved with, which I hope one day I will be. No, sorry. That's not in the script. Some which have appeared here in the Toronto Film Festival. Unfortunately, due to scheduling issues, he was not able to join us today, but with the help of satellite technology, I'm pleased to present Mr. Don Boyd.
Jake, thank you so much for that lovely introduction. Suzanne, what a privilege it is to be able to eulogize about you and your art at this very prestigious award ceremony. Brilliant. For this our lovely audience in front of us here, imagine that you are in London in the Café Royal, the famous cafe of Oscar Wilde, beautiful Art Deco surroundings, mirrors, and stuff like that. And in walks to the film crew that I was working with, a diminutive, beautiful woman who is carrying what looks like what could be used by a busker, a violin case. And she opens up the violin case and takes out this extraordinary instrument, which is an 18th century violin made in Italy and used by the great Chrysler, which he'd been lent and was worth $10 million. And here we were, beginning to rehearse with the conductor. She was working with Andreas Delphus, beginning to rehearse Beethoven's wonderful violin concerto, which we were going to film in Air Studios in London the following day. And from the second I saw her, you, Suzanne, from the second that we met and talked, it was a beautiful, comfortable relationship that was going to last as long as it has. And it's now well over 10 years. Following day, we pitch up at Air Studios and I arranged my crew. I had a really great crew of camera people. We had an amazing, phenomenal Air Studios sound engineering setup, all prepared, with no audience, but with almost 100 members of the London Symphony Orchestra. How frightening was that for me? And imagine how frightening that might have been for you, but you were so relaxed and easygoing. And I was sneaky. I arranged that I could be on the camera that was the closest to you and your violin, and positioned myself in such a form that when the work began, when we began the work, and the idea was to do a complete performance of the violin concerto without stopping whatsoever except in between movements, I was able to film precisely how you go about your amazing, beautiful musicianship. And I hadn't prepared myself for the emotional impact. It began, and my camera's focused, and you were there, beautifully dressed and relaxed, and you moved into this phenomenal piece of work, a masterpiece of Beethoven's work, his only violin concerto. And then the second movement happened, which is sublime, and I realized I was crying. I had to disguise this. I had to find some clever way of making sure that I did my job properly, because your performance was so beautiful, and the fingering on your instrument and everything else connected with it was magnificent. And anyway, we finished. I managed to get through without anybody noticing that I had been crying. There was a lot of hugs, and your dad was there. What a moment. Your father and mother were there witnessing this. Your amazing family that had become Canadians from China. And I learned the extraordinary fact that your dad had been playing this very concerto on the day you were born in China many years before. And that literally was tingle down the spine job for a passionate filmmaker like me. Anyway, congratulations again. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful that I'm here to celebrate it with you. And I'm now going to pass you back to the situation where the ceremony will continue. And I thank everybody here for the privilege to say these things, but particularly thank you, Suzanne, for some of the most beautiful moments of my life, working with you, working with such a professional person, and working on music that I adore, so brilliantly transferred to you. And finally, ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy a short video featuring my dear, dear friend, Suzanne.
Yi Jia Susanne Hou has lived almost her entire life here in Mississauga, yet her name is known better throughout the world as an accomplished world-class concert violinist. Suzanne's parents, Alec and Yvonne, both accomplished musicians in Shanghai, China, immigrated to Canada in 1981 to build a new life. Suzanne's mother played in the Kitchener-Waterloo Symphony for over 25 years, and her father held numerous concertmaster positions throughout Ontario orchestras and taught at the Royal Conservatory of Music as a prominent professor of violin for over 25 years. Suzanne recalls, "My father was my teacher, and he always told me, as a father, I have a responsibility to give you an education. Otherwise, I am not a good father. As a teacher, I have a responsibility to be strict. Otherwise, I am not a good teacher. So I got a strict education." At the age of 9, Hou was given a full scholarship to study at the Royal Conservatory of Music. And then at 18, she went to New York to study at the Juilliard School on a full scholarship. There she completed her Bachelor and Master of Music degrees, as well as a Performance Doctorate, the Artist Diploma. At age 19, Hou flew onto the international concert scene, capturing the world's heart when she won the first of her 3 international violin competition gold medals. She went on to dominate the world's violin competition scene for the following 2 years, winning unanimous gold medals in Spain, Italy, and France.
When Alec Hou came to Canada, China was a very different place than it was today. It was a place that crushed the dreams of talented musicians like himself. So he moved his family here. Recently, though, he was invited back to China, only now he would go alongside his daughter, Suzanne, a violin virtuoso herself. It was a special and most personal performance.
On Christmas Day 2006, Suzanne performed for the first time together with her father in China. The emotional Shanghai Orchestra performance, with Alec conducting and Suzanne as the soloist, was the focus of a CBC, the national documentary called Return to Shanghai. Suzanne has since made several historically important recordings to date, including a documentary and live performance of the Beethoven Violin Concerto with the London Symphony Orchestra on a 300-year-old Guarneri del Gesù violin previously belonging to one of the greatest violinists who has ever lived, Fritz Kreisler, on the very violin that he played on himself. Suzanne achieved an unthinkable feat by performing and recording Paganini's 24 Caprices, the most difficult pieces ever written for violin. She is the first in history to make a one-take unedited recording of these works. Suzanne has traveled the world performing as a soloist with major orchestras and sold-out concerts in over 50 countries. Mississauga Legends Row is proud to welcome Yi Jia Susanne Hou to our Walk of Fame.
Here, here. If I can please invite our former legend, Patty Janetta Baker, to come up and present the award to our legend, Susanne Hou.
Good afternoon, everyone. Hello. Thank you to all of you, to the Legends Row committee, the selection committee, Ron, for founding this extraordinary recognition for what one single human being can do for a community, for our country, for our world. It is an inspired idea that has inspired us all, I think, to do just that little bit better every day. So thank you for your initiative in making this possible. Thank you for participating in all of our dreams, all of our lives, for acknowledging them. It is just incredibly moving. Thank you to all of the members of Parliament, our country's representatives, those that give us a voice and who make this country so great. I have traveled everywhere, as you can see, and I can tell you that I'm such a proud Canadian. Every time I walk into a shop and everybody hears me speaking English, they think I must be from America. And when I tell them I'm Canadian, with a big smile, they all seem very relieved. They are just so happy. And they say, wow, oh, Canada, what a great country. We've always heard so many wonderful things about it. People are so nice. You have some beautiful nature. Everybody that they've met from Canada, which is all of you, has just given them such a wonderful impression of Canadians. So thank you all for making me proud as I walk through all the streets and all the countries in the entire world. Today, you know, I must say that if you put a violin in my hand, I'm much better at expressing and at sharing what I really feel. But I hope that through words, you know, I've never been one to read, not even music. My father taught me, he practiced with me 2 hours every day, note by note, every single piece, from Mozart's Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, until the most recent concerto that I played, Wieniawski Concerto in South Africa. Everything he taught me, note by note, by ear. He would play it for me, and I would play it on my instrument. And so I'm used to playing by heart. And so that's what I'm doing here. I'm just speaking from my heart and from my appreciation. I wanted to tell my fellow inductees that you have given me an emotional roller coaster from Frank building literally the roots and foundation of our city today and the streets that we will be walking on. I was just in Port Credit a couple of days ago, walking through the new development, and I cannot wait to see it finished. It's such a beautiful city that we have here, so thank you for building that and for your contributions to everyone. Annie, I had a couple of members in my family who also had their own cancer battles, and I just realized that I saw your film multiple times, and I'm now in awe that I'm in front of the person whose story inspired this and who inspired so many other people to take their own journeys and fight when it counts, fight for what is worth fighting for. So thank you for your incredible inspiration and courage. And Nav, your story, I think we just touched the surface of it. We just scratched the surface of it. It reminds me very much of my own parents' first humble beginnings here. They also came with 3 violin cases, 3 suitcases and just a couple dollars in their back pocket. And it was by the graces of my uncle Edward, and his son is here today, Richard, that we were able to come to this great country. So in fact, we're not responsible for choosing Canada. He was, because he could see what was being built here, that this was such a beautiful, growing country. And he chose Canada, and we stayed because it's just, you know, I have thought through every single one of the most important projects that have ever happened in my entire life have roots in Canada. Either it was Canadian government that sponsored, helped fund and subsidize the very, very expensive life in New York as I went to school, despite tuition being covered, but life is also extremely expensive. And the projects here were sponsored by Canadians that wanted to help. And I started thinking this last week, what is it about Canada? What is it about this beautiful city of Mississauga that inspires people to be this way? And it's a little bit of everything. It's a little bit of everyone's energy that we see somebody in the elevator and we say hello with a smile. We help somebody when something drops on the floor. I had friends coming to visit from France who dropped their phone and walked 20 meters, and a fellow Canadian picked it up, ran after them, and gave it back to them. And they were so shocked because that doesn't happen anywhere else. And it's because of, well, the silent, invisible individuals that I don't even know the names of, who have created this beautiful environment, this beautiful city, this beautiful philosophy that is Canada. And I want to thank them, along with my fellow inductees. Today, I would like to dedicate this award actually to my parents. My father, who you saw in the video, unfortunately passed away last year he had Parkinson's, and he had a good 10 years of struggle, but he fought until the very last day to make one of my last projects possible. He not only made my very first violin out of Canadian maple, but he also made my very last bow, on which I was able to realize this impossible feat of the Paganini Caprices, and that's coming out soon. So I wanted to dedicate it to them because they're the ones who came, like Nav, to Canada. They're the ones who, my mother worked in a knitting factory before she went into a symphony orchestra. My father scraped ice off of pipes, but these were some of the happiest days of our lives because they could do what they loved. One day, they were able to do what they loved. They left a country that was their own. In fact, I was born in Shanghai, but unfortunately, classical music was banned for 10 years. And so growing up in Canada, there was not a single day that I didn't recognize that to do what I love, just to be able to practice my instrument, is a privilege. That is not a given to everyone in the world. That is a privilege that we have here in this great country, and I thank everyone for making that a reality. Rome was not built in a day, and Mississauga was not built in a day. I have seen it grow. It is extraordinary. I mean, the skyline of Mississauga is impressive. I remember when this building was the only thing you could see for kilometers, and today you can barely see it. You have to go through all the skyscrapers, and it's just incredible. And I wanted all of you to know, particularly my friends, my childhood friends who are here. They're still my closest people in this universe. They're the people that have been with me through growing up. They keep me grounded. They have never treated me differently from the day I walked in at age 12 into school and didn't know who I was yet and played this funny instrument called a violin. They didn't judge me then. They don't judge me today. And they have been with me the entire time. And I have taken their kindness, generosity, friendship, love with me on every stage in the world. And when I stood in London, when I stood on that stage in London or Beijing, that one of the last productions was in Beijing, I've often had people ask me, do you get stage fright? And I said, what is stage fright? I mean, I am starting to understand what that is today, because speaking is kind of frightful. But what is stage fright? I'm doing what I love. I'm just standing on the shoulder of giants. And, my parents are giants. My friends are my giants. My community, my city are my giants. And after visiting every city imaginable that I even knew the name of, when it came down to having a family, I came back home, and my daughter was born in Credit Valley Hospital in Mississauga. My one and only daughter, Lily Marie, who's I think is over there somewhere. Hello, darling. Because I wanted her to grow up in Canada. I wanted her to be a part of this country where everybody in the world says, what lovely people, responsible people, people that care about each other, people that celebrate history, heritage, culture, roots, people that are kind, people that have incredible respect and care for nature. That's all anybody could want for their children. So I know there's a saying, it takes a village to raise a child. And I just want you to know that you are my village. You're my city. You're my people. And I thank you. And this is, as Nav says, it's for all of you. We don't stand here alone. We wouldn't even be happy if we couldn't share this with our loved ones. And I also wanted to say, just in closing, that I also look to the future, because not only am I honored by the past inductees, our present today, my fellow 3 inductees, but also the future ones. And I hold a responsibility now today to continuing to build a beautiful future for my daughter and all of yours. So thank you for being with me all these years. Thank you for being a part of my journey. And this is really for all of you. With all my love.
Wow. From the moment she stepped into that recording studio, we were aware that this was an amazing artist. She has a stunning technique. She does things with those small hands and those fingers that are just unbelievable. She's kind of made her own technique, and therefore, we are in the presence of an amazing artist. I've been very lucky to be able to work with her several times since that, and I'm super pleased that the city of Mississauga, the place where she spent so many of her formative years, is giving her this incredible honor. She is really a singular artist, a great musician. I wish I could be there, but I congratulate you, Suzanne.
Surprise. Adam McGowan, that's awesome. So friends, that wraps up our induction ceremony for 2025. Please make some noise for all our legends. The legends can't see this, but you're getting a standing ovation. So